Hi, and welcome to Poultry Nerds Podcast. I'm Jennifer Bryant, and I'm here with my co-host for the show, Carey Blackmon. And we're here to help you get all the information you need to grow the healthiest, happiest, and best quality birds possible.
All right. So today we're going to talk about chickens. Imagine that. Well, we're going to talk about hybrids, how to make the crosses, what some of the results you get, things like that. I know Jennifer has done a hybrid chicken. I have one that I've been messing with. And so we'll go from there. How are you doing, Jennifer?
I'm okay. It's been a couple years since I did a hybrid chicken, but I'm not opposed to doing them again.
It's fun. That's actually what got hybrid chicken. Doing stuff with chicken breeding is actually what got me into quail because I could see the results faster.
Mm-hmm. Same.
It's like the inner mad scientist in me that was interesting.
Let's define hybrid for people who are new to birds and may not understand what we're talking about. But that just simply means crossing the genetics. You could cross two different breeds, two different color varieties, or even if you had two distinct lines, say of Orpington, you cross those, then that would be an F1 hybrid. So each time you cross one should be for a reason. The reason could be for breeding purposes, to get a show bird, to get more breeders, to fix a genetic flaw that you're working on, or it could just be simply you want to see what you're going to get when you put these two birds together.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty simple. You do the Della Rosa hybrids, right?
Yep.
Those are a cross of Rhode Island Red and Delawares.
That is correct.
Okay. Does it work both ways or only one way?
My purpose behind that is I live in more metro than rural area. And I have a lot of people that live in downtown that want chickens, but they're not allowed to have roosters. So the whole thought process behind the Della Rosa was something that I could sex right out of the hatcher. And with that, I use a Rhode Island Red rooster and a Delaware hen. The hens come out red, roosters come out white, and it works great. The birds, I know exactly what they are when they come out. I haven't tried past 3 generations to see if it continues to be sex linked like that. I'm guessing the answer is going to be no, because in theory it shouldn't, but it works. And a lot of people really like buying. I can guarantee you it's a red pullet. So that was the reason why I started that. And I had the Delawares for meat birds. I was raising them for that. And I had some Rhode Island Reds that were not show quality, but they were some really good roosters. Great personalities. The temperament was there. I could put 3 or 4 of these things in with 10 pullets, and they would not fight each other. They would not fight over the hens. Really good temperament. So I put them into that program, and it works. It's cool. People like it. Those and some other $5 chicks actually paid for my Hatching Time CT 180 incubator.
Yeah, people who only can have pullets, girls. I mean, what we're doing is we're using the sex-linked genes to create a auto.
Mm-hmm.
We do something. So I do the same thing with quail. I put an Egyptian rooster over Pharaoh hen. And the offspring, the Egyptians are girls, and the pharaoh phenotype is male because they're split. But you can't see that when you look at them. The dark ones would be males, and the females would be Egyptian color, which I call blonde, but I think technically they're red, but they look blonde to me. So anyway, so hybrids, they serve a purpose, and they're done on purpose by hatchery. The reason why I wanted to talk about them today is because if you're new to chicken and you are thinking that you have to order from a hatchery to get your chicks started, or you stop at Tractor Supply or whatever and get the impulse buy chick, a lot of those birds in there are not breeds. They are hybrid. So I was looking on some of the website, and the ones that look like a copper Moran, because everybody wants those split eggs, they're calling them dominant coppers, rustic ramblers, mystic Morans. Let's see, there's a few different hatcheries that do it. And they may look a lot like a copper Moran, but they are not. They might have the wrong skin color. They won't be feathered all the way down to their outer toe. They'll be brassy. They might have a purple sheen to them, which you don't want on any chicken breed, honestly.
No.
You want the green sheen. They will probably lay a darker egg, which is why people like them. And there's nothing wrong with them. We are not implying that there's anything wrong with them. We just want to explain that when you get these mystic Morans, I see them a lot, they are not copper Morans. They are a cross between a barred rock and a copper Moran. Mm-hmm. And when you breed them, there is no telling what is going to come out, what it will look like. What it will be is a barnyard mix, but won't be a copper Moran. So that's a soapbox of mine, is people just don't understand. Now, kudos to the hatchery that I'm looking at for calling them hybrid. Occasionally I will see them referred to as this is a hybrid breed, which I don't think is the correct terminology, because it's not a breed. It's a hybrid bird. The other one that I found was called an Austro White, which is cross between a black Australarp and a white Leghorn. Again, it's a hybrid. It's meant for egg laying, for its docile behavior. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that it's a cross and it won't breed true. They won't all come out uniform. So if I breed my Orpingtons or you breed your Rhode Island Red, I know that if I put these two together, and so do you, you're going to get an Orpington or a Rhode Island Red out of them. There's no point. If you put a Mystic Moran with a Mystic Moran, could theoretically get some with barring on them. You're going to get a hot mess coming out of there.
Yeah.
So if you think that you can buy a Mystic Moran and take it to a show, it's not going to work. Totally different animal than what you would see at a show.
Yeah, it is. Those, I really hate it for people, because a lot of times people order those birds from a hatchery, and a lot of the hatcheries will even say exhibition quality. But if you take a hatchery exhibition quality to a black copper Moran show, you're going to notice a big difference between those birds and your bird. The same with the Rhode Island Red. There's a hatchery out there that charges a beautiful shiny penny for their exhibition line of Rhode Island Reds. But when you get those and you hatch them out or you get them as chicks, you can put them side by side with a standard red and notice the difference.
Yeah. And you could, in theory, if you had a long lifespan ahead of you, take those birds and breed them into something magnificent through lots of selection.
Mhm.
I don't know anybody that has enough patience to do that.
Hi there, fellow poultry enthusiasts. I'm Rip Stalvey from the Poultry Keepers Podcast. Please pardon me for interrupting. I promise I won't take long, but there's something I need to tell you. I hope you're enjoying this Poultry Nerds podcast as much as I am. I think my friends Carey Blackmon and Jennifer Bryant are doing a great job here, and I know they have even more fantastic shows in the works. So you better subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. Ha! I know I sure will. Now let's get back to Carey and Jennifer.
It's Mandolin. She works with the American Breast. And when she got those, she's been working with them for 8 or 9 years now. And she's been breeding for table traits. And so she's pulled really hard throughout her period of time doing those to be able to get the larger birds that she has. It's 6-8 year process, because she told me that she has only got to that point within the last 2 years, which tells me 5 to 6 years is how long of heavy selection, heavy culling, and everything else that it took to turn a bird that was essentially a hatchery bird into what it's supposed to be.
And eating a lot of chicken. So when we say that we take a bird or a line and breed it to what we want, like Mandolin here, in 5 or 6 years, don't think that you can hatch a dozen chicks and move it along. I've never asked her, but I would be willing to bet that she hatches hundreds of chicks per year to find next year's breeders.
I know that she has a 1502 GQF and the hatcher that complements it. And in hatching season, she fills them up constant. I mean, she does. She hatches out hundreds of birds a year.
Yeah. And you have to in order to pick the best one. So the other popular hybrid that we see a lot with newbies that go and they get them from Tractor Supply, or the bins got mixed up and they didn't realize they got them, is the infamous Cornish Cross. Even in its name, it tells you it's a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a cross between a Cornish and a White Rock. And that's in simplistic terms. The breeders have been bred to a point of purpose and to create that cross that we know, the Cornish Cross. And nobody really knows exactly what those breeders. I've never seen the breeders. Have you seen the breeders?
So at one point in time, I wanted to find me a breeding set, because I know the Cornish Cross that you see when you buy the day-old chicks, that is not the parent stock.
No.
And I wanted to get like a trio or 4 of those so I could hatch out my own Cornish Cross. Dang. I can't find anybody to sell that.
No. Yeah, I think you have to get a license and get really business close with those breeders. And I don't even know where they are.
I had somebody tell me that he could pull a favor if I really wanted it. But he said, you better be ready to spend money. Because people that when they do sell those breeder sets, he said $600-800 per bird.
What? Wow.
And I was like, whoa.
But you can sell those chicks like hotcakes too.
Oh yeah.
So those particular Cornish crosses, those are bred for meat production to put on a large amount of meat very quickly. And it's a hybrid that is bred to do that on purpose. And it's the same concept as a Mystic Maran to lay the dark egg, the Cornish cross to put on the meat. You have a purpose for doing that hybrid. You cannot keep a Cornish Cross and breed them together and get more Cornish Crosses. It does not work. I know there are a couple people that have tried to keep Rangers and have gotten a couple eggs from them, but I've never heard of anybody hatching out any more Rangers. I don't know anything about the Ranger parents. Do you know anything about them?
So I know that there is a Rhode Island Red in that mix, and I'm not 100% sure what else is in that mix. But yeah, if you do, you're just going to get more Rangers. Now, I know somebody that used the ISA Browns for egg production. And what they did, because they wanted to hatch out more, is they got a Rhode Island Red and a white leghorn, 2 roosters, threw them in the pen with about 40 ISA brown hens. And those roosters were very active, and they hatched out a lot of chickens. The rooster chickens that hatched out went off to go be table birds, and the hens laid a lot of eggs and are still laying a lot of eggs today. 2 years down the road from this science project.
Interesting. I did the Rangers last year, didn't care for them, didn't care for the personalities, didn't care for their size, didn't care for their taste. But I can say that I did it, I tried it, and I won't do it again.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the big question for all the animal rights activists, the vegans, and everybody else that wants to get on the bandwagon is what happens to all those male chicks? If all the people just want the girl chick, what happens to all the male chicks?
Sell them.
Yeah. We still sell them. They don't. I don't know of anybody that puts them in a grinder, at least not here in the States. Now, that could be something that happens in other countries, but as far as I know, it doesn't happen here.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But there's a large population of people that want those just regular barnyard chickens. They want the roosters. They want to grow them, and they will process them because in the Hispanic culture, they typically would rather have a rooster over a hen when it comes to putting it on the table. They say it tastes different, but I know there's a guy local to me that has a large Hispanic clientele, and they actually want him to leave the head intact with the bird when it is processed because they want to see that it was, in fact, a rooster.
Interesting.
Yep.
So I had out hundreds of birds a year to pick my show birds and my breeders and everything. And that leaves me with a lot of males. We do grow them out and eat them. I have found that canning a rooster makes the meat really tender. And so that's what we use them for. I do have a family that comes and buys extra roosters from me. He will take as many as I can provide to him as long as they've never crowed. If they've crowed, he doesn't want them.
So he wants them young.
Yeah. So he'll come get them in 3 or 4 months, which is odd because it's hard for me because it was hard for me to do a selection at that point. So the only thing I could really do is, if they're the smallest ones or just for whatever. You need to go back and listen to the selection video or podcast for that, but it's hard to select at that young age. So sometimes he's not overly happy with that, but yeah, he doesn't want them if they've growed. So interesting.
That's definitely a new one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Let's see. So I have a friend that manages a hatchery in Ohio, and I had emailed him in preparation for this podcast and asked him what they do with all the little male babies that they end up with because people just want to order the female. And he said, luckily that they are able to sell them. They offer a rooster pack for people who want to just grow them out for the table.
Here,
And then whatever they can't sell that way, they have an Amish community near them that takes them and grows them out for the same reason. But there's no grinding of chicks or anything like that the media wants you to think is happening. At least not as far as he is concerned.
yeah. Now, I do know that does happen with older birds, like quail. A lot of people will use that for feeding their animals, but it's no different than hamburger meat.
No, you just grind it up. It's just meat is meat. Now, when I do the sex link hatch on the quail, and I spit out, that was one of my best sellers, was the quail hen. That did leave me with a lot of males, and that's where the reptile feeders came into play. So I actually was able to offload them to reptile people.
Makes sense.
We don't grind here at Brian's Roost either. Everything gets used.
That's right. Everything gets used.
Yeah.
At one point, didn't you cross an Orpington and a Cochin?
I did. I had an extra Cochin cockbird, and I had some yard Orpington hens, and I just put them out in the yard together. So when I don't have any use for them in a breeding pen, I just throw them out in the yard. And so his name was Pretty Boy at the time, and he has gone off to live with a lady about an hour from here. And I want to say he's probably pushing 4 years old at this point, and he's still going good. But he was with some Orpington hens, and all of the offspring came out blue with gold flecks. And they looked like they had necklaces on, and then they had gold flecks sometimes around their thighs. And I called them black gold because they had all the fantastic qualities of an Orpington. Good mamas, lay eggs regularly, good size, they were heavy, and the Cochin broodiness, which is just crazy how broody a Cochin is. I don't even know how that breed exists, honestly, because they lay 4 eggs and they go broody for the rest of the summer. Get enough chicks out of them is crazy. But gosh, I sold those things like hotcakes. But the second generation, I'm sure, was just a hot mess. There's no telling what came out of those.
Well, and that happens a lot with a lot of different crosses like that. When you do something, make a hybrid cross, it's easy to know what F1 is going to be, but F2 or F3 is like a box of chocolate.
Yeah, I saw a post this morning and I engaged with him. He didn't really understand. And it was a quail post, but it's going to apply to chicken. And what he did was he ordered jumbo egg from 4 breeders. So he would create genetic diversity. And I was trying to explain to him that all he did was create a bunch of hybrids and made a hot mess is what he did. And there was no reason to spend the money to buy from these breeders he was buying from if he was just going to mix them up, because all he did was undo the work of the breeder. Now, he never, as far as I haven't checked in a little bit, but as far as I know, he still doesn't understand what I'm trying to tell him.
So he watched some videos on spiral breeding, and that's what he was trying to do. And that is not for the rookie breeder.
Actually, he breeds dogs, and he was trying to apply his mammal breeding logic.
That's 2 different ball games.
Exactly. But for the sake of this podcast, the reason why I bring it up is because what he was doing was creating hybrids. Because my line of jumbo browns and Rebecca's line of jumbo browns and your line of jumbo brown, they're all going to be different because we all select for different things. Even if we say we're selecting for the same thing, our eye is different. And so the genetic makeup will be different. And when we cross them, it's a hybrid. They're going to have hybrid vigor. They're going to look different. And you need to keep those separated from your main line.
I would recommend to somebody that if they were wanting to do something like that in a bird, get them from the same person, find some that you like, get them from the same person, and try it out before you mix in another gene pool.
Yeah, the subline.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't undo what that person spent years doing.
Oh, yeah.
Try it out. You're probably going to be happy, and it's going to save you a lot of time.
Yeah, because the breeders already put in all the time.
That's right. That's why they charge so much for eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for joining us this week. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can receive all the new episodes right when they are released. And they are released on Thursday mornings. Feel free to email us at poultrynerds@gmail.com and let us know what you think of the show. If you're on Facebook, check us out at the Poultry Nerds and make sure to give us a like and a follow. Until next time, Poultry Pals, keep clucking, keep learning, and keep it exciting. This is Carey from Poultry Nerds signing off. Feathers up, everyone.